We will not allow reality, facts, and truth to become optional. We will never surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die. Now,
all right, guys, so I gotta tell you, I take no pleasure in making this video because every time I make a video in which I'm gonna be critical of Ron DeSantis, I have to let you guys know that, again, I'm not being critical of him because I dislike the guy. I do like the guy. I think that he gets a much harder time than he deserves, considering how he has been a great conservative governor. However, I have to make this video because I would be a massive hypocrite if I didn't make this video in regards to Ron DeSantis essentially implementing what appears to be affirmative action for Jewish students fleeing persecution for being Jewish on these woke college campuses. Okay, so you know, Jews allegedly are experiencing anti-Semitism on some of these woke college campuses. We've talked about this story before, and Ron DeSantis is basically saying, well, if you're Jewish, we're going to waive all types of requirements that we otherwise would require for you to transfer to a Florida higher education institute. We're going to waive these requirements because we want you to come here to flee religious persecution. So I want to talk about this because, again, this to me sounds like affirmative action for Jews. And just like I don't like when Democrats are woke, I also don't like when Republicans are woke. And I think that Republicans are woke on this issue of anti-Semitism. Okay, let's keep it all the way 100. Okay, Republicans have been on a crusade against free speech when it comes to this issue of anti-Semitism in this country. Okay, and I would be lying to you if I did not point it out and I did not call it out, because it's getting to the point now where it's out of control and is ridiculous, right? I can't ignore it. Okay, I can't pretend like it doesn't exist. I don't like it. Okay, this is why I wasn't jumping up and down celebrating what happened to the Harvard DEI affirmative action president when she got ousted from her job. Although she didn't deserve to be on her job, I think she should have been ousted. I don't think she was qualified. Essentially, she lost her job, again, not because of the plagiarism stuff, okay? You don't think that Harvard knew that she had plagiarized her academic papers? Of course they know, right? These colleges have machines that can detect plagiarism, right? And I'm pretty sure if they actually really wanted to get people for plagiarism, okay, in positions of power, a lot of these heads of these universities wouldn't have their jobs, okay? So it's not the plagiarism. It literally is because she allowed these students at Harvard to have the wrong types of free speech. Again, their free speech I don't agree with, okay? But I do think that she got ousted because of the fact that she did not censor these students, again, who were, you know, in some cases making direct threats of violence, and the kids that were making direct threats of violence, obviously they should be punished. But a lot of them are just saying, hey, I disagree with what Israel is doing. Again, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with them, I do think they have the right to say what they got to say, even if they're annoying as hell. I don't think they have the right to block traffic and to make everybody's lives a pain in the ass. I do agree with their right to express their opinions, and Harvard lost a whole lot of money over that. Again, and it wasn't the plagiarism thing. Nobody gives a damn about the plagiarism, right? What they actually give a damn about is that she wasn't censoring the anti-Semitism enough, and Republicans were cheering it on, and they were taking a victory lap over basically censoring speech. And in a conservative party, in a Republican party that doesn't get many victories, you're out here celebrating, oh, we took down the Harvard DEI lady that shouldn't have her job in the first place, when you can't close the border. You can't hold the Biden administration's feet to the fire when it comes to balancing the budget. And you also continue to want to send money overseas. Okay, you try to finagle your way into sending money overseas some way, somehow. And also on top of that, these colleges / universities have been censoring conservative speech for a long time now. Again, look what happened to Riley Gaines. Look what happens to any conservative speaker that goes on these college campuses, and these Republicans didn't give a damn. They didn't rally so hard to punish these universities for doing that, which is something I've been advocating for. I literally say, yeah, these universities that allow these students to harass, okay, and to, you know, do threats of violence, and to, in some cases, again, commit acts of violence against conservative speakers. Yeah, I mean, I think that they should be punished, right? And Republicans should do something about it, or try to do something about it, and they didn't do anything. But wait, all of a sudden, when this Harvard lady, who was censoring free speech of conservatives for a long time now, and the Republican Party didn't give a damn. All of a sudden, now they care about her allowing the wrong free speech when it comes to anti-Semitism, right? Now, all of a sudden, they want to do something about it, okay? When, again, this lady had been censoring conservative speech. She had been a pain in the ass for a long time, and Republicans should have tried to do something about her a long time ago. Nah, this ain't the thing to be running around taking a victory lap over. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that she lost her job. It's a good thing that she lost her job. But I just don't like the fact that they acted all big and bad, right? The one thing that the Republicans can do is oust a DEI lady, you know, for allowing the wrong free speech, right? I just wish that the Republican Party got victories on things that I think are much more important at the current moment. Not that that's not important. I think what's happening in these higher education institutions in regards to affirmative action, DEI, I think is a part of the problem, right? That's a major part of the problem. But I'm just saying, it's not something to really celebrate too much, right? With all of the things that are wrong in our country. So with that being said, again, what we have here is essentially Republicans becoming what we're supposed to be against, right? Which is special rights and privileges for people based off their identity, which it seems like that is what Ron DeSantis is embracing. And again, the irony here is that this guy is the same guy that basically touted how Florida is the place that woke goes to die, that he's not about that in Florida, right? He's not about giving special treatment to people based off identity politics, but here he is basically announcing affirmative action for Jews, right? Which, in my opinion, it seems to be like you're trying to give special treatment to people based off their identity or religion, right? He wasn't doing this for Christians, right? And again, if a Democrat had announced that they're doing this for black folks, again, do you think that Ron DeSantis would agree with it? So let's actually read about what Ron DeSantis is doing here. He says, quote, "Today, I am directing Florida's colleges and universities to make it easier for Jewish students to transfer to a Florida higher education institution while leaders of quote-unquote elite universities enable anti-Semitism. We will protect Jewish students and welcome them to Florida." So I did read a bill, okay, and there are going to be people that are going to try to finagle their way through this and try to say, oh, well, this isn't really affirmative action for Jews because they include everybody that is facing religious discrimination, okay? Well, again, let's read here, okay? And I'm going to give you guys a thought experiment in regards to whether or not this actually applies to all religions or anybody that is facing religious discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or violence, right? So I'm going to read this part, the most relevant part here. It says, quote, "Whereas the state university system of Florida recognizes the state of emergency created by the war in Israel." Well, first and foremost, there is no state of emergency in the United States of America based off what's going on in Israel. Again, I believe in the Israelis and their rights to defend themselves, but I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you. Hamas is a part of their creation. That's something that they basically put on themselves because they allegedly helped fund Hamas, okay, because they wanted to divide the Palestinians, the secular Palestinians and the religious Palestinians in an effort to continue to expand settlements, right, and to try to acquire more land, okay? So that seems to have backfired on them in the long term, like it kind of always does when the West uses the strategy of funding / arming / supporting religious extremists in an effort to divide and conquer, okay? See Afghanistan, okay? See Syria, right? See all these places where we always have to deal with these problems of arming religious extremists, and then they turn around and use their guns against us. Yeah, Israel kind of is in that same situation with Hamas, and I don't think that's talked about enough, and this is why I think that that's their problem, not our problem. I definitely think that we should do our best to make sure that, you know, Israel can defend themselves, okay? Mostly from a defensive perspective. We don't want that country to get taken over because they have nukes, right? And we do want to protect them. But, you know, I don't think that there's a state of emergency in the United States based off what's going on in Israel. I just don't buy into that, right? I just don't buy into that argument. They can defend themselves, right? We've given them more than enough money for them to defend themselves. Let's keep it all the way 100. And the resulting danger to students who are seeking to transfer to a state university system of Florida institution to escape a reasonable fear of anti-Semitic or other religious discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or violence at their current institutions. And whereas Executive Order number 23-208, as ratified and reaffirmed by Executive Order number 23-209, 242 grants each state agency the authority to suspend the provision of any regulatory statute prescribing the procedures for conduct of state business or the orders or rules of that agency if strict compliance with provisions of any such statute, order, or rule would in any way prevent, hinder, or delay necessary action in coping with the emergency. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Again, for the people that are saying, oh, well, this applies to everybody of all religions. This is not affirmative action for Jews. Okay, we're going to read more about what they're actually doing. But first, I want you to understand that in this executive order, they're specifically talking about anti-Semitism. Okay, that's why they're doing it. They're saying that the reason why we're doing it is because of what's going on in Israel. Like literally 99% of this bill is citing the Israel-Hamas war as the reason behind the bill. Nowhere in this bill does it say, oh, well, Christians are experiencing discrimination, and here are some examples of Christian discrimination, and there are discriminations towards Muslims or this religious group because of this reason or that reason, right? This is not a general, like, generic bill where it says, well, students across the country are facing religious discrimination for X, Y, and Z reasons, and this is happening across the board, so therefore, we're doing this because of religious discrimination towards people of all religions. That's not how this bill is framed, right? Like straight up, if you look at the bill, the emergency order, everything in the bill is about Israel, right? Everything in the bill is about Jewish students. There's nothing in here about Christians. There's nothing in here about Muslims. There's nothing in here about any other religion. So again, there are people that again are naive enough to believe that, oh, well, because it says in the text that other religious discrimination, harassment, or intimidation or violence counts, that means that it's for everybody, right? It's like, again, actually read the whole bill. Read the justification behind the bill, what they're citing. Nowhere in the bill are they citing any type of hate discrimination towards Christians, which happens, right? Nowhere in the bill are they citing any type of hate or discrimination towards Muslims, which happens, or any other religion. Just Jews. And they are marketing the bill towards Jewish students. Why? because that's who the target is, right? Those are the people that are probably going to have their applications considered, okay? That's what it is. Let's use some common sense. People can't be this naive. Don't be this naive, people. So I think you would be very naive to believe that if you are a Muslim and you claim that, hey, I am escaping, religious discrimination, harassment, or intimidation or violence at some academic institution. I don't think that this is going to apply to them, right? I don't think that they're going to be able to get some of these special benefits. I really don't. If a Muslim can get these benefits, then I'll give you that, right? But I don't think they're going to be able to take advantage of this. I think that clearly and obviously this is specifically targeted towards and for Jewish people. So what specifically are they doing for Jews, right? That they're not doing for Christians and other people, right? Who could also be facing religious discrimination, right? Specifically, quote, Jewish students seeking to flee who are academically eligible would receive credit hour requirements for transfer applications waived, aka they don't actually have to show that they have taken a certain number of courses in order to transfer, okay? Because when you go to an academic institution, like, for example, a community college, when you transfer to another institution, you have to be accepted into that institution in order to transfer. The way that they judge people in regards to the quality of the candidate looking to transfer is that they see how many credit hours you have in your grades. So if they're waiving requirements for credit hours, that essentially means that they're waiving academic requirements, right? That's why I think it's funny how they put students who are academically eligible, right? They tried their best to frame this in a way that would try to make it look like it's not affirmative action, but that's what it is. Because if you're waiving credit hours, that means that they actually don't have to take the number of courses that everybody else is taking, which means they have less grades to be judged based off of, right? They don't have to have, as many grades to have judgment granted towards them in regards to whether or not they're eligible or academically eligible to transfer to the university. Which, hey, again, if this was being done for black folks, okay, or any other minority group, again, what would people like Ron DeSantis be saying? Okay, I mean, again, his whole brand that he's built has been based off not having this type of stuff. not doing this type of stuff. And again, that's why this has to be called out, because that is his brand, right? That is literally his whole brand. I'm the anti-woke guy. The anti-woke guy is literally being woke, but just for Jewish people, right? And I don't think that this is something that we should be cheering on here, right? Application date windows for transfers waived. So basically, you know, if they don't meet the deadline, that's fine, right? Because they can, you know, apply whenever, right? They've waived the application date windows. Colleges and universities urged to use, quote, their existing statutory authority to grant out-of-state tuition waivers on a case-by-case basis for students with financial hardship. So basically, they're saying that, well, we also can waive out-of-state tuition if you are a student with financial hardship, okay, and you're Jewish and you're transferring. So basically, they're saying, look, in some cases where we may not waive out-of-state tuition, even with a financial hardship, we might do it for you if you're Jewish and you're transferring here because of quote-unquote religious discrimination, okay? So, again, that's what's happening here. And I just don't agree with this, right? I think that this is not the way to go. Again, I'm all for Israel's right to defend themselves, okay? I don't think that people should be calling for genocide of a country or making direct threats of violence to people based off their religion. But the way that you deal with that is not through basically having affirmative action for people based off their religion. That's not how you deal with that. And if Democrats did this for any other minority group, conservatives would be outraged, as they should be, right? We'd be saying, oh, this is woke. This is not fair. You're having lower standards for special groups of people. And I think that conservatives should be just as outraged about this, right, from Ron DeSantis, because, again, I don't think that this is right. I think that this is something that we honestly need to speak out against, because we cannot be encouraging Republicans to essentially become what we claim that we're against, okay? I don't like DEI for anybody, okay? And I mean anybody, okay? I'm all about merit and treating everybody equally, and I really mean that, right? I truly mean that, okay? And because I mean that, I think that it is important to call this out for what it is. I don't like what Ron DeSantis is doing here, and I think that people should definitely, you know, push back against this. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.